Nah, that I'm not gonna lie though. Like that whole great evil darkness thing, like not even that. Like the cosmic armor thing is just dumb as fuck. Like that shit. If I'm keeping it a buck, like if you can read that story and tell me without a shadow of a doubt that Superman's narrative wasn't a crack in the overvoid or a flaw in the overvoid, um, you're cross-eyed. Like you're cross-eyed, blind, illiterate. You don't speak English and you read an English comic. I don't know. Like I don't know. There's only so many excuses that I could come up with for. You could
I don't
literally
think
have her beat
cosmic
anything.
armor scales to regular Superman's narrative though, because it is specifically described as
Oh
a
no
hyper.
no no! I don't care about
Yeah,
that. But I'm saying like regular Superman was a like a part function of like cosmic armor.
she's not.
Yo,
Yo,
I'm back quick.
what up?
Yo, GB, was there anything you wanted to discuss about Cass?
Yeah, I just don't understand how he's like not, or at least the narrative of Superman isn't overvoid tier, which would
The
ultimately make.
narrative of Superman only scaled to the concept of all stories within DC, and up to that point in time, those things only scaled up to Limbo, which is why the monitors had to be on nil, even outside of Limbo, and why he had to go to Limbo and then go to a higher dimension beyond Limbo, because it was representative of the end of all stories. The narrative of Cass, and whenever he sealed the flaw of all the stories within our multiverse. Our multiverse as a whole is flawed, and that can be seen on the overvoid. Our multiverse doesn't scale to the overvoid, and the overvoid is everything beyond our multiverse with infinite multiverses throughout all of them. Cass never once was capable of perceiving and or moving across the overvoid like overvoid tier characters, and overvoid characters, in my opinion, are characters who scale to the entire overvoid, or at least can maneuver across it. Even Mandrakk had to build a way to get across the void to get there. So like even he had issues doing it. He had to fucking build like a platform versus like actually being able to comprehend and travel through like the power of flight or comprehend that realm or anything. Even Mandrakk got lost in the overvoid as well because he couldn't comprehend it.
Right, but it literally states that the flaw was within the overvoid.
Okay, the multiverse is in the overvoid, that is true.
Yeah, but it's literally stated like it was a flaw within the overvoid. It wasn't like.
Okay,
And
there's
the
many
multiverse-
creations in the overvoid for sure. This
Yeah, but
specific
the one
creation
that
is
was-
flawed.
Yeah, but that flaw was literally the expanding narrative of Superman. Like Superman was literally a problem. It's what they noticed. It's not like
No. Superman is not what they noticed specifically. They just noticed the multiverse was flawed. Then they dispatched a monitor to investigate. When he investigated, he saw all the stories that were there. Then he created the cosmic armor afterwards. And in my opinion, it was the strongest narrative there. And thus, it filled the cracks in everything that existed.
But we know because of Doomsday Clock that Superman's narrative is what essentially is the balance and the basis of all other narratives. Like there is no narrative
within
without
our
Superman.
multiverse. Within our multiverse, that is true.
Yeah. So and this is the multiverse that literally was.
To kind of prevent y'all talking past each other, I see where the miscommunication is. If I can like just weigh in.
Yeah, go ahead.
So GB's saying, he hasn't said it directly, but essentially, like, even if you count that multiverse as like what he hurt, and it's not like he didn't hurt the overvoid, that flaw within the like what he did, his power can be seen in the overvoid. That's what GB is saying.
Multiverses can be seen in the overvoid for sure, but that I don't think multiverses scale to overvoid tier characters. They're
so
seen
multiverses,
as like
when I'm
fiction
saying
to them.
multiverses, we're talking about entire creations or like story complexes like DC.
Yes.
So if the flaw was on that entire complex of DC, I think GB saying that would make the narrative overvoid tier. I don't know if I'm representing GB correctly. GB can weigh in, but
What I'm saying, like, it's basically that. But if I was to take Doomsday Clock into account, and I was to take in recent stories
100%.
into account.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah.
When the multiverse is literally expanding and the crack keeps getting bigger, it only implies that had it not been corrected, and the only way to correct it was with more Superman, essentially. Like, the only way you were going to stop the leak of Superman was with more Superman. Then if we go into Dark Crisis, we literally have a character and a universe at this point, or a creation at this point, where, what's his name, Pariah, is speaking on powers. And even though the Great Darkness, which at this point is above Presence, and if Presence is an Overvoid tier, then at this you just lose me.
He is.
But,
yeah, 100% he is.
Okay, so Presence is Overvoid tier. We know that the Great Darkness is within creation at this point, because we've seen it there. So when Pariah, well, no, the Great Darkness itself is not just fragments. The Great Darkness itself is literally dormant in the creation. Like, it's just resting. Which was the agreement he had with...
I do not agree. It just chose not to destroy creation, and it kind of went back. That was the agreement between the light and the dark. The light would cease to expand.
I do think in a recent comic, Lumos, I do think in a recent comic it does show the Great Darkness resting at the, like, in creation.
Yeah,
like
laying
do you have an idea of what comic that is? I'd love to find that.
Yeah. Fuck, I think I do have that scan, so I'll find it.
In Justice League Incarnate, I don't believe we had any evidence of that. I read that entire.
When Darkseid literally is in front of, like, he's on Universe quote unquote 0, he literally says, "This is what I'm looking for. This is it."
Okay,
and it's
true.
like he's saying it's dormant.
Zero, I have an entire thread on that specifically. That's just a fragment of the Great Darkness. That's why he was using that and the Black Lantern Ring to gain access to the realm of the Great Darkness, so he could control all of the Great Darkness. Earth Zero is just a fragment of like the Great Darkness.
Yeah.
It's not like the whole thing.
But like I say, when I read the entirety of Justice League Incarnate, I guess you could interpret it like that, but I didn't see like any statement saying that was a fragment of it. I just see him interacting with it.
I'll find my scans real quick. I have an Earth Zero section.
I just see him interacting with it, and the more he interacted with it, it finally like just absorbed him essentially entirely.
Because I think, what is it?
If you guys end up needing to post scans, can you all put them in like main chat lobby or battle pass lobby, battle and what ifs?
Yeah.
Because I know GB has his scans, so.
I got my Earth Omega. That was called. Hold on.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, Earth Omega.
Yeah, Earth Omega. That's what it was. Let me find it.
I think this is a really fun conversation to be had, so I'm definitely shutting down this section for you guys.
Frequency lead.
I don't even know where my Superman section is. Great Darkness.
That's at the bottom of your main event server.
Yeah.
Here it sounds more powerful.
I know that in Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, what they were saying was that Pariah tapped into a fragment of the Great Darkness's power. I know that that's where they say there's a
true, and he was doing that through his machine that he had in the Great Darkness specifically. That is true.
Yeah, I know that that's where that's stated. I know that for a fact, but I don't remember Earth Zero's being stated specifically to be a fraction of the Great Darkness's power.
Okay, so I don't even think it's Incarnate. In an Infinite Frontier specifically, I think it was. Darkseid specifically says, the key to what I want, aka the Great Darkness he perceives at the end of the story, is beyond the crack in the Omniverse. And he's on Earth Zero while saying this. I'll post this real quick.
Real quick, before you guys continue for the live stream, can you guys clarify, or I'll clarify what they're talking about. There's contention of the value of powers within DC, what scales the Overvoid tier, the Superman scale, where he scaled. So just for those tuning in now, because we have a lot of people, that's the current chat going on right now. Shout out to everyone.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Let me.
No,
where did you want me to post these?
You can post it in Slack server. I already searched up like the scan you were talking about in my server. Yeah, like I said, like this doesn't specifically state it's a fragment of its power. That's kind of just the implication that you can take from that.
But there's no consciousness there. You don't have any evidence there's the consciousness of the Great Darkness there. He's looking for the power of the Great Darkness, and he says the Great Darkness is through a portal past the hole in the Omniverse.
Yeah, that's fine. But when I see him arrive at zero is literally stated multiple times to be the dormant Great Darkness. It's stated like multiple times.
Can you give me an example of that? Where Earth Zero is stated to be the Great Darkness itself? And then can you give me an example of it being conscious and speaking like the Great Darkness does?
It doesn't need to be conscious or speaking, it can be dormant. We know that the Great Darkness can manipulate forces while it's dormant. That's like an irrelevant argument.
True, but we know that it's actively conscious.
Yeah, but we know that it's like whether it's conscious or not, we know that it's drawing Darkseid to it.
So why would Darkseid be going after the Great Darkness itself while on Earth Zero but going somewhere else? That doesn't make any sense. If that's the Great Darkness, the genuine Great Darkness, why would he be trying to go out to the Great Darkness?
Well, he was traveling to other places simply to confront Empty Hand. When he wanted to confront Empty Hand,
none of this had to do with confronting Empty Hand. He was trying to control the power of the Great Darkness right here.
No, I'm saying that it did, because when he confronts Empty Hand is the one who he knows has the answers, and that's what he's looking for. When he goes to kill the Quintessence and everything, even they themselves, I believe it's in, let me see, I know in Infinite Frontier 1 and 2. Yeah, okay. So like when he does this, even they themselves are like saying, oh, this power is dormant type shit. And when you look at that, I don't care if it's dormant or not. I'm not saying that it's constant. That doesn't. What I'm saying, characters like
the Great Darkness spoke to Darkseid in the Great Darkness whenever he followed Empty Hand into the Great Darkness. The Great Darkness is there.
Yeah, the Great Darkness has a hold. The Great Darkness has a hold of anything that is connected to, obviously. That's why Pariah was being manipulated. Pariah allowed the Great Darkness to speak to him, and it didn't matter where Pariah was. Pariah was literally in the Crisis Event world, and he was still getting touched by it.
I agree, because he was funneling the dark energies at that point. Yeah, like that makes 100% sense to me. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I don't think that Darkseid coming into contact or realization similar to Pariah, where Pariah's on the Crisis world, and he all of a sudden, like, from one panel to another, Pariah's speaking to the Great Darkness, and there's nothing but blackness around him. I don't think that that's coherent with the Great Darkness being where Empty Hand was. That's just Great Darkness doing what it does in this story. It's similar to Constantine.
He literally merged with the Great Darkness there. He literally became one with the Great Darkness inside that realm.
That's where he lost his will. That's where he lost his will for the Great Darkness.
Can you give me any evidence that the Great Darkness is Earth Zero?
Okay, we've already been over this. We passed over this already, but alright. Let me see.
The closest thing to a counter narrative answering a comment would be Darkseid or Doomsday. Continue those.
Yeah, it would literally be within. I just lost it. It would literally be within Infinite Frontier.
Infinite Frontier has to be.
Yeah, they literally say it's literally the Quintessence looking at the threat that, quote unquote, she worried about it. But you already know what it is, though. Why do I have to post these scans?
I just want to be 100% sure, because I can't find a scan that specifically notates it as the Great Darkness, or it's a fragment of it. I agree with that, but
there's nothing that states it's a fragment of it.
Do you think it's the whole Great Darkness, Earth Zero?
Yeah, that's what I think that the least the least assumptions to make would be to go through that route and just say yes.
So an empty hands plan was to bring the great darkness and summon it inside creation. Was his plan just didn't answer?
Well, that had nothing to do with Empty Hand up until that point. That was just the Great Darkness agreement.
If Earth Zero is here and that's the Great Darkness, he's already here. Why would he have to summon the Great Darkness inside creation then, if the Great Darkness is already here?
When is Empty Hand summoning the Great Darkness?
That's the whole point of the Annihilation Machine, or whatever he's building on an Incarnate, they specify that. I'll find the scan real quick. The Oblivion Machine, that's the name of that something. The Oblivion Machine's goal is to basically summon the Great Darkness inside creation. I'll find it. Come on, internet, don't fail me now. Let's see.
Okay, alright, yeah, here it is. I got it. Alright, I got it.
That's like issue 4 or something. No,
there you go, I'll post it in the main one. Well, you said main lobby or at where else? Like, where do you want me to post this? Oh, okay, in Battle Windows.
Yeah, like, even after the events of the Earth Zero stuff...
If anyone wants to see the scans, join my Discord and look at battles and what-ifs.
Yeah, look, even after the events of the scans you posted, Empty Hand, who is literally the left hand of the Great Darkness itself, his entire long con plan is to birth the Great Darkness into this multiverse.
Yeah, that would actually, okay. So if it's dormant in the multiverse, right, if it's literally dormant, there's no way it can be birthed into something it's not at. It's dormant there. You have to reawaken it. Like, that makes perfect sense.
That's, no, he's being born.
He's not saying. Are you saying that the Great Darkness isn't alive? Because to be born, you have to not exist.
It's beyond those things. It's outside. It's like within this realm.
Okay, so Lumos, so if we're gonna say that it's beyond the ideas of like not alive, death, and predominantly being born, these are just figurative of speech at this point. So you're just taking an interpretation. I'm telling you that your scan says, hold on. Your scan says it's going to be birthed within the multiverse. I'm telling you it's already dormant there.
Okay, even if that's the interpretation you're taking, I wouldn't consider the Great Darkness there then. Any relevant sense.
It's just dormant. It's not there. It's not.
I mean, that's fair. If that's the interpretation you have with it, that's fair. You said in this first scan that you posted that this is them saying it's the Great Darkness there?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I still believe she will lead us to our next stage. As Wonderverse said, her multiverse is filled with all sorts of shit. We should have told her that we already tracked the threat she worried about. If she had joined us, Wonder Woman would have seen that there is nothing we can't control or defeat, Earth Omega, as it was called. Are you saying they trapped the Great Darkness here?
No, they just identified where it is, and they made the universe around it.
None of this says this is the Great Darkness.
But you do. Okay, so you don't think that Wonder Woman was talking about? You know, like the Wonder Woman they're talking about, like after Death Metal, right?
The Golden Wonder Woman. Yeah.
Yeah, you know that Golden Wonder Woman's fear is Great Darkness. Like, that's narratively.
No, she had no idea about the Great Darkness.
No, but she was warned about it when she was warned.
She was warned about a danger that would be coming for sure, and that danger took the form of Pariah.
Through the Great Darkness, right?
Well, no, it took the form of Pariah, who was using the powers of the Great Darkness, right? They just warned her about the danger. We don't have any proof. We don't have any proof that they warned her specifically about the Great Darkness, or even Pariah directly. That was just the next big crisis that came, right?
Yeah, but they know they're literally looking at the planet that is dormant. The Great Darkness.
These guys wouldn't have a clue. These guys are the fucking quintessence. They wouldn't have an idea of any of that.
Are you saying that the quintessence, which serves the presence directly, doesn't know what the Great Darkness is?
I'm saying that you guys,
if anybody knows it, then
don't have the ability to do any of that with the Great Darkness. They don't have. They're so far out of their league with the Great Darkness that they're not going to be able to even comprehend it.
It's literally. Spectre has literally interacted with presence directly. Like, why wouldn't he be able to understand what the Great Darkness is?
That's because the presence chooses
Swamp Thing-
lower forms for him to comprehend. The Great Darkness doesn't have that issue. And to be fair, this Vector did come across the Great Darkness way back in the day in Swamp Thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, so we're kind of about to go in circles, and I'll just like enter the conversation because I don't have a dog. Yeah, I don't have a dog in this fight, so I'll just kind of talk as well. I think, in my opinion, it's logical to say that Wonder Woman did fear Great Darkness. My first reasoning I would put is she has felt the power and touch of the presence and the light of the presence, and the fear would be the opposite. So I do think that is logical. On top of this, I want to say there is a scan saying the Great Darkness lied dormant. So
the Great Darkness does lie dormant outside our creation. In Swamp Thing, or not Swamp Thing, what is it called? It's a Dark Crisis tie-in where you literally see the Great Darkness still out and about, and he takes a variety of different forms in front of Constantine, as a matter of fact, and kind of explains a variety of things. Now, there is an interpretation there where you could see that as Lucifer, but take that as you will.
I don't think that that's Lucifer. If anything, I think Lucifer is just like another aspect of the Great Darkness.
There is also,
so
I'd like to add this as well. There is a author statement, not saying we go by that every time, but there is an author statement that Lucifer is one of the emanations of the GED. He's one of the faces.
But even if that's considered, Constantine in that comic had to go into the Great Darkness to talk to the Great Darkness. In that comic, it's not dormant.
So you're saying that the comic is contradicting itself and the Great Darkness isn't dormant?
I'm saying that the Great Darkness was woken up by the actions of the multiverse as time went on. Yes. In Incarnate, issue 4... Fuck, hold up, let me find it. We get the whole history of the multiverse, and they literally say the Great Darkness woke up, and it even cursed Dr. Manhattan to go fucking meme around on all of creation. That's why Dr. Manhattan blew up everything.
So wouldn't dormant up to that point apply, though? Like, you could be dormant
up to Final Crisis. Yeah, dormant up to Final Crisis. Earth Zero came to be after Death Metal. So, like, that's years down the road.
Okay, so when you're talking about Dark Crisis and you're talking about dormant, are you saying that...
Oh, actually, there it is. I found it. Fragment of the Great Darkness. There it is. I knew I found it somewhere. I knew I had it. There it is. Issue 5. I should have just stuck with my fucking guns over here. Mysterious Elseworld remains undiscovered, while Earth Omega was actually a fragment of the Great Darkness imprisoned by the all-powerful in Quintessence. So that's just a fragment of the Great Darkness. That's not the Great Darkness itself. A fragment, okay, so, I could see like the Quintessence grabbing for sure.
Okay, so that's fine. Are you willing to say that people like Constantine, like you said, people like Pariah, like you said, have interacted directly with the Great Darkness?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, so when you're talking about them interacting with the Great Darkness, and you're saying that the Great Darkness has awoken, and at this point, when Pariah, there's nothing in creation except what Pariah has allowed. When Pariah is showing everything, and he's showing the power like of the Great Darkness and everything, Pariah states verbatim, the strongest force in creation is hope. That's literally what he said.
Oh, can I interject with something from this? That
scales to creation. Yeah.
This scan actually further states that let me put the exact quote. With his Godhead fully reassembled, his being the Great Darkness, the one true dark side killed the Quintessence and seized control of Earth Omega. I don't see how Darkseid could scale above the Quintessence, but still be below the Great Darkness. Right, that's there. If that makes sense.
So
yeah,
you're You're saying that Darkseid should still be above the quintessence, but you don't think, or you think it's weird that he's
Like,
not
I
equivocal
think
to the Great Darkness?
I think there's a kind of a case that Great Darkness was like restricted or whatever, suppressed.
No,
Yeah, no,
the way
it
I look at it is he doesn't care. Because if these guys take this, they're dragging the Great Darkness into their creation. If creation explodes, he wins, right? He made a deal not to actively do anything, but passively, his mind hacks still happen, right? Like those mind hacks are still forcing people to want to blow up creation because the Great Darkness hates creation at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's fine. No, what Splash was essentially getting at, and it's just I just didn't really care to go down that road because I don't need it. But it's essentially saying that if all the pieces are formed, this thing that's in the center of the multiverse, this thing that's in the center of the multiverse, Earth Zero, is going to be where the Great Darkness is born. That's where it is. If that's at the center of the universe, and Empty Hand is saying I'm going to birth it in the multiverse, and that's at the center of the multiverse, that's where the Great Darkness is going to come from. That fragment.
Okay. If that's the case, that's fair. Great Darkness is still actively conscious outside in the Great Darkness. I'm okay with that idea, but that doesn't mean that that is the Great Darkness. We have clear evidence that the Great Darkness is still conscious and actively working out in the Great Darkness. That may be the Great Darkness later on. I'm okay with it being it later on, growing into and subsuming creation inside the Great Darkness. I'm fine with that, but that doesn't mean it's the Great Darkness right now.
Okay, but that's fine. I don't care about that. Like I'm willing to sacrifice that argument for the greater cause.
Okay.
So like I said, when Hope, which is Superman, is stated to be the greatest force in the multiverse, which at this point is oozing with Great Darkness energy. It's literally oozing with it.
Superman's story back during the events of Cosmic Armor Superman didn't have any of those feats.
That's fine. We know that everything in DC is canon, so there's no reason why Superman now isn't applicable to the connective narrative back then.
Hold on. I was arguing specific Cass in that event. I'm not arguing
Superman is part of Cass. Superman is part of Cass.
Cass was all of Superman up to the story of Final Crisis. You can't add feats to Cosmic Armor Superman for subversions of him that take place post that event. That doesn't make any sense.
Are you saying that Superman
was destroyed as a concept?
That's fine. Are you saying that Superman's story wasn't growing? Or are you saying that Superman's story at that time wasn't affecting the Overvoid?
Do you understand the difference between Superman's story and Cosmic Armor Superman?
Yeah, I understand that Cosmic Armor Superman was meant to contain Superman's story, yes.
No, Cosmic Armor Superman was meant to contain all stories within DC, and it was every single person's narrative. Every single person's narrative. They're all created off of his, but all of them at the same time.
Hold on, we had a donation. Someone wants us to consider this evidence. The chat has entered evidence into the case. Corey Bloomberg, $2, said Swamp Thing Volume 2, Issue 49, GB got it.
Swamp Thing Volume 2, Issue 49 is where the hands both shake and make the agreement between the light and the dark, but then they go back to their own place. The Great Darkness does not stay inside of creation after that. So Corey Bloomberg, I appreciate you for your donation, but that didn't really have much to say what we're talking about.
But all the evidence that you're suggesting suggests that the Great Darkness, for the most part, is already within the multiverse at this point. Not only is
there is a fragment of it, yeah, but not the whole thing.
What are the pieces that are missing? You're talking about Empty Hand and Darkseid, right?
Yeah, Empty Hand has to basically summon the consciousness inside the multiverse. And if you want to say it's Earth Zero, I'm even okay with that interpretation. But his goal was still to birth him inside. Even if it's Earth Zero, he's not there right now. He does not exist there.
Okay, so we're willing to accept that the only pieces missing from him is Darkseid as the other hand at this point.
No, he already merged it. Oh, yeah, up to that point, yeah. That's fair.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, for the most part, like, even if, like, let's say the hand of the Great Darkness is, like, example, 10% of him. Let's say it's 20% of him. 80% of him would be residing to the multiverse at that point. If the
You have evidence of that. His whole consciousness is outside of the multiverse.
Hold on, Lumos. You just conceded the only thing missing is Darkseid.
No. The only thing missing from the totality of his form, which is outside of the multiverse, that is a small infinitesimal fragment of the Great Darkness inside the multiverse. I don't think that the Earth Zero, the fragment that's inside Earth Zero, is equatable to like Empty Hand or like Darkseid in his totality once he fused back with the Great Darkness. Great Darkness had to go, Darkseid had to go outside of creation and merge with the Great Darkness there. And guess what? We saw his whole form out there, including Empty Hand as his left hand, Darkseid as his right hand, his body as well.
You don't know, but you don't know where they went exactly, though. That's the problem. You don't know where they went. You just
it was a realm of infinite darkness where they all merged with the Great Darkness. We don't have a word saying it, but that's pretty straightforward at the same time, right? Like
I could literally just say, based on the fact that you already admitted the only thing missing was Darkseid as a hand, I could literally just say they went to Earth Zero. Like I can literally just say that.
There's no evidence for it at all.
But you just conceded.
That's a known place.
Okay.
Even if that is the case, even if that is the case, no, actually I can't say that, because in that Swamp Thing tie-in during Dark Crisis, they literally go into the Great Darkness and find the Great Darkness there, and they talk to it.
Well, I mean, they're obviously gonna find the Great Darkness from the Great Darkness. The point is that you've already conceded the only thing missing is his hand.
Hold on. If that's the case, then they're not all in Earth. They're in the Great Darkness.
Where's the Great Darkness?
Outside of the entire Overvoid. Yes.
So the Great Darkness is outside of the entire Overvoid. Where is it though? Like where?
It's the everything outside of the Overvoid.
Okay, but we
everything
also
outside of the light.
Okay. But we also see, by your scans that you provided,
yes,
Hand was going to birth it within the multiverse. We know that the one thing at the center of the multiverse is Earth Zero. We know that by your hold on. The only thing missing from it by your admission was Darkseid. So everything points to Earth Zero predominantly being the Great Darkness. Literally everything. You can say it was a fragment.
No, literally not. Okay. Everything we have in this entire era says the Great Darkness is still outside of the multiverse, not inside it, not inside Earth Zero or anything like that.
You literally just went over that. But when you went over that, you literally said that there was no evidence to support that. You just said that the implication was obvious.
Okay, if I manage to misspeak at some point in time, let me rephrase, alright? Earth Zero is a fragment of the Great Darkness. If you believe that Empty Hand was trying to make him reborn inside that fragment, I'm cool with that. I think that makes sense. But the totality of the Great Darkness is not inside Earth Zero, and there's no evidence to back that. Now, if you want to insinuate you believe that they were teleporting in there the whole time, that's fair. There's just nothing to rep that. I think it's far more likely that they're going into the Great Darkness, where we see characters literally travel into the Great Darkness and have characters who have powers, who have always traveled into the Great Darkness, such as Alan Scott's son, travel into the Great Darkness using Alan Scott and his son, and send characters there who go there and get Pariah shit from them. Pariah never operated on Earth Zero at any point in time.
Why would Pariah have to operate on Earth Zero if he's literally already directly connected to the Great Darkness?
Well, because he was literally going into the Great Darkness, and other characters had to go into the Great Darkness.
He didn't care about going into the Great Darkness. The way he was talking to the Great Darkness is the same.
He did care about going into the Great Darkness. He actually put the machine where he gets his powers from inside the Great Darkness. That's where Superman and Swamp Thing go to get his machine.
All he wanted was acknowledgement from the Great Darkness. Throughout the entire knowledge, there's literally scans where he's saying, "Please acknowledge me. I've done good."
Okay, yeah, nobody's saying that's not the case. That doesn't change the fact that he went into the Great Darkness and put his technology there.
Him talking to the Great Darkness, it doesn't matter. Lumos, you cannot pinpoint me. You've said it yourself. You cannot pinpoint to me where the Great Darkness is. For all we know, they could literally
it's outside of creation.
But Lumos,
it's the unknowable.
Lumos, you've already stated to me that in his search for the Great Darkness, which led him to Earth Zero, the only piece missing from the Great Darkness was Darkseid. So you're telling me that all evidence that you've submitted...
The only significant amount of him that was missing. The Earth Zero isn't a significant amount of him. We don't have...
Where does it say that?
We have a fragment. I don't typically consider a fragment of something a large chunk.
It can be.
It can be. I don't think most people normally use it that way. Whenever you're talking about a fragment of something, you don't traditionally consider it like 50% or more. The amount that we saw all rejoin itself whenever Empty Hand, Darkseid, and Pariah all rolled up in the Great Darkness, and we saw the form that we had.
That's fine, but you've already admitted that the only piece missing from it was Darkseid.
From the Great Darkness in general, not Earth Zero. You keep trying to tie my arguments into Earth Zero when those are yours.
Lumos, I don't have to. Lumos,
can I state the obvious?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. We're reaching an impasse, so we'll kind of restate because we are gonna reach a point where it's kind of, you both are gonna be able to say we just have like different assumptions of like a simpler truth or whatever. But before we get to that, I do want to say that this seems like a case where if this is fragment is held down by the quintessence, right? But it's needed for the Great Evil Darkness. If like most of the Great Evil Darkness is outside of that or beyond that fragment or whatever, it would be able to just get it.
Yeah, I agree. He doesn't care that creation. It's like whatever. It'll probably blow it up at some point. Like he doesn't care about some infinitesimal fragment of his power going in there at all. But at the end of the day,
I also have another wrinkle to the argument. I feel like we've been led narratively that a lot of these characters are a good portion of the Great Evil Darkness, and they represent it and stuff like that. And most of those reside within creation. So that's probably I see both sides. I can say I see both sides.
I
also,
agree.
the chat, let me answer this for the chat. The chat asked me Goku's speed tier and DBS. I have them at a measurable. Alright, continue.
I think that... Fuck, I lost where I was going. GB, go ahead and give your outro here for the arguments here.
I'm just gonna post this in battles and what ifs. Right here. This is Infinite Frontier 6. I just decided to finally just look at it and like grab it from my servers because I didn't feel like looking through all that shit. So Darkseid is literally saying that Earth Zero was never a planet, and then when he gets closer to it, he literally refers to it as the Great Darkness. If anybody knows at this point, we know that Empty Hand, as per Lumos' scan, wants to birth the Great Darkness within the multiverse. We know that Darkseid considers Earth Zero to be the Great Darkness. We know that it is a fragment of the Great Darkness. We know that per Lumos' statement, the only thing missing from it was Darkseid as the hand. Everything points to Earth Zero being the majority of the Great Darkness. Everything, like every sign in Vegas is lighting up, pointing at Earth Zero being the Great Darkness. Every single light in Vegas is pointing to it.
Hey, in that stand, hey, refresh me for the chat. We're talking about Infinite Frontier. You can also just join my Discord and look at the scans. Do you guys remember where they are during that meeting place of the hands?
This is on.
That was in Kuwait. That was in some random place on Earth. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, well they're looking at the Great Darkness there, so it's like I do.
Hold on. Are you talking this last scan? The last scan he posted?
Fun.
No, he's talking about the hands. He's talking about.
Yeah, the ones with all the hands in it, and he says, "I gathered you here." In the following scan, it shows the Great Darkness, like they're on the precipice of the Great Darkness.
Yeah, he says right here the Great Darkness wakes, right? And we like. Yeah, and we will find the Flash and the Crack in the Omniverse. I'm not the only one who seeks this power, but I'm the only one who control the Great Darkness. Yeah. It's like the big meme for everything there.
Yeah, and he literally referred. He's speaking about Earth Zero when he talks.
Can
about
I
this.
give a
He's
wild
literally speaking
take?
about it.
Because I have a simple
He's not.
answer. This might be the simpler truth. It's something neither of you have said. It's
Yeah.
quite entirely possible that if you did... No, I will say, I believe, if you destroy that fraction, Great Evil Darkness is fine. Why? Because ultimately, it can't be contained within creation. So it would re-manifest outside.
Yeah, he's already
However,
outside creation.
Hold
Yeah.
on. However, true form Pennywise has the same property, same function. And he can reduce himself within creation, be within creation, can be trapped there. Now, if you destroy him within there, he'll just reform outside. I'm saying that could very well be the case with the Great Darkness.
Yeah, my thing was at the end of the day, I feel like
just
I've provided.
For me, this is I just want to like give the chat as well a little more perspective. For me, I don't feel like you can capture a part of the presence. I don't think you can capture like a part of Great Evil Darkness, especially when they're on such an abstract level. Like capturing that and create, I don't know. That's tough. Like I feel like it would have to be willingly given, or that's a part of them. Like it actually is like just a function of them.
I think he I think he intends it to be there. Yeah, he wants it to be there for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I think as per the agreement, he decided to go dormant. He was placed at the center of the multiverse, quote unquote caged, and in doing so, that's where he will be birthed.
This world had been here since before the first crisis. They said that was before he showed up with the handshake.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that he can't be like literally just dormant there. That doesn't mean that he just.
Okay,
you know.
yeah, okay. If that's the case, then yeah, he's dormant there, yeah.
Yeah. So like, my thing is this. This is where I'm arguing that, whatever. At this point, we like all signs point to that being Great Darkness, and I feel.
Wait, if that was Great Darkness, and it's been there since before the first creation. Then the Great Darkness, after the first crisis, shows up from outside our reality, outside everything, and invades our reality. Why would he have had to if he was dormant inside World Zero?
Wasn't he dormant after that arm wrestling contest? Isn't that where the agreement happened?
So you're saying like went dormant inside Earth Zero after that event?
Yeah, when the agreement happens, he literally just goes dormant. Yeah,
cool.
I'm not.
If you have those scans, dude, hit me with them. That'd be fucking sick.
Well, I'm just the agreement, like the whole narrative crisis event is that he's not going to physically, or I guess you could say actively interact or intervene with people's destinies and the multiverse and shit. He's doing it while he's dormant. The whole agreement with the pact was that they would let the multiverse do what the multiverse does. So it just like kind of like the narrative just kind of follows through. But like I was saying, everything's pointing to that being it. And the whole point is that we have multiple characters at this point who have interacted directly with it, and Hope was stated to be the strongest thing in creation. At that point, that would put Hope above the Great Darkness. So, and then if we go even further back to people who have interacted with aspects of the Great Darkness, as Splash said earlier. I think Splash said that Lucifer was, what do you call that crap?
An avatar.
Emanation.
Or emanation, yeah.
We have moments like in Sandman, where Sandman's having a little rap battle like he's in 8 Mile with a demon from hell, and the demon essentially utters, I'm the darkness, I am all-consuming. And the only thing that battled it was Hope. So there's, for years now, it's not just, this isn't a new thing. This has been a thing for years. We have Superman's narrative, which I've explained. He balances all things in DC narratively. Is cracking the overvoid. We have Sandman using Hope as a reference to defeat the Great Darkness, and then we have Hope being directly stated to being the strongest thing in creation when Great Darkness is in creation at the time. This is nothing new. This is something that's been, Superman narrative has been overvoiced here for I don't know how many years now. It's probably since I was like 17. So I don't feel like this is anything new, and I feel like that, like, if you read all those comics, I feel like the evidence, like I said, all the lights in Vegas are pointing to one answer. So I don't see like how a character, just a dude not like looking into the overvoid, not knowing what happened to somebody, debunks all of that. Like that's kind of like crazy. Okay, especially since we know that the reader is beyond. Like we know that A lot of people argue that the reader. Yeah, I'm just closing. We just like last statement. We know that the reader was affected, quote unquote, by Cosmic Armor Superman, quote unquote. And I'm definitely above the Overvoid. Like I don't know how I'm not, but like, so you know, it's whatever. Like, if all that isn't enough, then I don't know what will be enough at that point. Man would have to literally punch the Overvoid and destroy it.
Okay, so for my closing arguments, the Great Darkness is located outside of the multiverse, outside of the Overvoid. It's always been there. It's been laying dormant there for a long ass time. Earth Zero may be some plans involved in showing back up to destroy the multiverse, but there's zero evidence that characters are teleporting inside Earth Zero whenever they're going inside the Great Darkness. All the lights in Vegas can point you somewhere, but that doesn't mean your destination is actually going to lead you to what you want or the truth of anything. Whenever it comes to this specific matter, all I'm saying is that the Great Darkness has always been outside the multiverse. I can't find any evidence about anything tying him as a very large fragment of his portion inside Earth Zero. If that changes in later content, hey, I'll be the first guy to turn it around. The entire purpose of this argument almost had zero to do with the Great Darkness in all reality. It was all about Cosmic Armor Superman, and at the end of the day, Cosmic Armor Superman just sealed all the stories in our multiverse. Our multiverse is something that is on the Overvoid, but I don't consider our multiverse itself Overvoid tier, because then every multiverse would be, I think, beings who are powerful enough to move across, comprehend, and understand the Overvoid, such as Lucifer, the Presence, the Judges of the Source, the Hands, Perpetua, etc., etc. Characters like that who can move across and casually blow up entire multiverses, comprehend those realms, and not be confused by them are all important. The reason why Cosmic Armor Superman cannot do that is Cosmic Armor Superman, who is the ultimate fusion of both Superman's story and the cosmic armor being the metals, the 10th metals that lead throughout all of creation to seal us in the flaw. It wasn't just Superman's story, it was the cosmic armor being piloted by Superman's story specifically that made him ultra dangerous. And whenever he threw Mandrakk off the side of the multiverse, he lost Mandrakk. Even Mandrakk got lost. Mandrakk fell into the dark multiverse, so one of two things happened. Cosmic Armor Superman either couldn't see him fall into oblivion in the Overvoid, a realm to which he could not comprehend, or he fell into the dark multiverse, and in that realm, Cosmic Armor Superman couldn't comprehend him, which would limit his scaling even further, but I'm not willing to take that argument right now, but I can see the arguments for it. Cosmic Armor Superman, if we get something later on, which we won't because he was destroyed and disfigured and dismembered, if we do get more content on him later on and he does go beyond that, I'll definitely change my opinion on it. But until we get further proof, I'm just not going to put him up there with Lucifer and other big boys who can travel the Overvoid, or even have comparisons of that character being comparable to the Overvoid itself. Like, or like people who are at least capable of roaming across it. So until we get more, I'm pretty safe that the Cosmic Armor Superman and the story of Superman is a character who only extends to the end of the multiverse, not into the Overvoid, and isn't dangerous enough to the totality of the Overvoid, or characters who are capable of roaming across the Overvoid, because they would casually look at characters like Cosmic Armor Superman and delete them like they were not there. That would be my argument.
Okay.
All right, so we can let like chat and viewers later. They can talk about it. Someone in the chat said DC is not high outer.
What?
Nat, would you like to join the stream to talk about it? Start a fresh debate, as it is one of the topics on the screen. Ultimate Apex Nat, if you would like to join the stream. You want to join the stream? All right.
My God, this guy is on some shit. Yo, contradictions to DC being high out.
All right, Nat. Can you join the Discord, please? It's pinned as a comment. Yeah, if chat wants to weigh in on that conversation about the great evil darkness, y'all can. Good combo, and we're segueing into this, it appears.
I've still got some shit I gotta go to. I just came back because there was some shit being said. Yo, if you need me back on, feel free to hit me up, bro. Be safe.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm glad you like intervened and just put us on closing arguments.
Yeah, I mean, y'all, at that point, y'all had, like, it was obvious, it's just, what the fuck y'all think about what you both read, so, just...
Yeah, yeah. It's just like,
it was a weird situation, too, because I did feel like he was, like, he genuinely believed his stance, you genuinely believed your stance, you both were presenting pretty much similar evidence, so, just go to conclusions.